it's lights out and away we go. Bottas is obviously in P1. Russell's in P2, the dirty side of the grid. If you watch any of the Formula 2 the weekend, you know it's an horrendous side of the grid to start. Every car had a bit of a horrific start if they started on the right-hand side. There was a bit of a sandstorm, actually, just after qualifying. So the track was a bit dusty for the
Very
Formula
windy,
2 race. It was very windy, I say dusty, it was a bit grainy. So traction was all over the place. But it's lights out and away we go. And the two Mercedes bolt off the line. Bottas gets a good start, there's no doubt about it. Russell gets a slightly better start, which is really good for Russell, because in the Williams over the last couple of weeks, he's not had brilliant starts. And I really did expect him, despite the fact I think he's a great driver, I expected him to slip down the pack a little bit on the start. But no, the opposite happened. He got a slightly better start than Bottas. And going into turn one, they were side by side. And Russell, being on the inside of turn one, managed to quite nicely and neatly take the lead going into turn 2 and turn 3. And I was standing up at this point. I was like, this is happening. I was like, let me talk you through my emotions, Alex. And I'm sorry for everyone who's probably wants us to get through the laps, but Russell could have quite easily sat in P2 for the whole race. He wants this Mercedes seat. There's no doubt about it. So if he wants the podium, he could have quite easily played the ultimate wingman and be a wingman to Bottas. Let Bottas go off in P1, follow Bottas through in P2, have a really nice, safe race, safe pit stops, just do what you need to do to get 20 odd points and maybe a fastest lap to show that you can drive that car. Nope, not in Russell's mindset. He's there to take the win. He's there to take the fight to Bottas because he's a racing driver. And by turn 3, he was leading, not only leading, he'd gone off so far into the distance. By turn 4, Russell had gone into the sector 2 and Bottas was a second behind him, which is just crazy. So most cars get through turn 1, 2, and 3 without any scratches. It's quite a clean start, actually. And then my heart sunk a little bit, Alex. I don't know about you, but it was like watching it last week. We saw this cloud of smoke, and it was a Alfa Romeo, I believe. Was it Kimi Raikkonen?
Raikkonen, yeah.
Who spun off in the exact same direction as Grosjean did. And, luckily for Kimi, he just had a spin and jumped back on the track. But for a split second there, it was almost an identical scene to last week, and my heart just sunk. And
so that same camera angle.
It was exactly the same camera angle, and the only thing missing was an explosion. And like I said, I was ecstatic that Russell got such a good start, and then my heart and everything just went boom, because I saw the exactly same camera angle, almost identical incident to last week. But obviously he didn't hit the wall, which is fantastic. But yeah. What did you make of the opening lap? So take us through the turn 4 incident.
So just coming straight off what happened right at the beginning, Bottas got a little bit out of shape after Russell had got past, and he was immediately under threat from, it must have been Perez and Verstappen. And Leclerc had slipped back a little bit at this point, a slightly worse start. Then coming up to turn 4, we have Leclerc just coming in a bit too hot, just a little bit too eager to jump up the inside. And he ends up clouting Perez. Now, I think Perez, it's the first lap of the race. I really think that Perez should be looking at that and thinking there's probably going to be someone coming up the inside. You don't really have the rights to cut off the racing line or cut off the apex like that. It's kind of unfortunate. I think Perez was kind of lucky not to take any damage or end up worse off. Leclerc, though, hits him so hard that it just ruins the front left. And he's out basically. And at the same time, Verstappen, who's coming around the outside, who's largely trying to stay out of trouble and is being rather un-Verstappen-esque and being quite cautious.
I was just about to say, he was being very cautious.
He's just a bit of a victim here. However, doesn't really come off the power, and I think Max forgot that there was a gravel trap there because he kind of tries to get on the power a little bit earlier than he should have done and literally just drives into the wall. So yes. I think he forgot that there was gravel there in the moment.
I think I saw something on Twitter that the gravel trap was also the painted off of the track. So the runoff of the track was painted the same color as the gravel, just so it blends in. It's a desert track. You make it all look very deserty. And I completely agree. When I first saw that incident, I thought Max has just driven it straight into the wall. I'm surely he could have avoided that. But looking back on it, he does put his foot down. He maintains that speed, And
He
actually,
tries to carry it round, doesn't he? And
if you look at the trajectory, he can. If you look at the trajectory, and that was all solid tarmac or runoff, he would have made that corner and rejoined the track. But he just didn't notice. I honestly think he didn't notice the gravel and pull it in the wall, and he was not happy. Jumped out the car, kicked the barrier, and I think that's more of a why? How did I not see that? Kind of like I've ended my own race kind of situation. It was impeded by the accident, but I thought he did. He backed out of it going into turn 4. He saw what was happening. He read that from a mile off. So he hit the brakes and then saw those two go off and then put the foot back down on the accelerator, thinking he could, take a different line, and just didn't work.
I felt a bit sorry for Max here because he could have capitalized on battling Mercedes to, maybe I don't know if Verstappen would have won. It's hard to say what the Red Bull pace would have been on this track, and I'm sure I've already mentioned, I'm sure we're going to talk about Albon here, but it's hard to say how that Red Bull would have fared, and because we didn't have Max's performance to compare Albon to, it's difficult to give a completely accurate appraisal of what Red Bull's chances would have been here, but certainly you'd think Verstappen's chances would have been pretty good because, given his performance that season, you'd always fancy Max to some degree.